Good morning everyone, thank you for joining me on another episode of Tokyo Yo. My name is T. Today we're going to be taking a look at a yo-yo that I've actually taken a look at before, but it was a long time ago. Kind of gotten a little better since then, and we've got some new colorways out, so I thought it'd be a good time to return to this yo-yo. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Magic Yo-Yo Stealth. So is this one gem that should stay hidden, or should it show off its colors loud and proud? So in the original video I made of the Stealth, I actually called this like an H shape, but now the more I look at it, the more I play with it, I really think it's more of a modified V shape. Besides this little slope that goes up to the edge on the rim here, it is pretty much a V shape, and that's how it plays as well. And it does feel like that in the hand as I've played with it more and more. In the cup you have a bowl shape. A lot of people compare it to the horizon, but I don't really think it's as deep as the horizon, but it kind of gets the same feeling going. You also have the Stealth logo, Magic Yo-Yo style. Then now at the bottom you've got the M04. This is in the M0 line. The material is 7075 on the body and stainless steel on the rims here, which have been clamped on. The feel is extremely nice in the hand. It's one of those yo-yos that feels really good in the hand, nice and soft. Your finger snuggles right in. On catches it's not always the most friendly, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And the look is very striking. This is one of the later runs of the Stealth here that just came out. All the new colors that have come out are extremely striking, extremely beautiful. This one I couldn't resist because it's got green, and you know, if you're a fan of the channel, you know I love green. And as well as that, it's got these blue anodized stainless steel rims which shine beautifully. You can see here in the sunlight. It's just a really gorgeous looking yo-yo, and all the new colorways look absolutely fantastic. For a little size comparison, here it is next to the Duncan Haymaker X. You can see the diameter of the Haymaker is a little bit bigger. The Stealth has it going on the width side though. You can also see that the Stealth has a step up right before the response, and the Haymaker just goes straight down. So that's one thing I do like. The step up is really nice. Helps with things like grinds too. So as for the history of the Magic Yo-Yo Stealth, I actually received this from Winnie over at Magic Yo-Yo. I didn't really contact her or anything like that. She actually reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in taking a look at them. So thank you very much to Winnie and Magic Yo-Yo for that. Like I always say, Tokyo is not a business. I don't make money on this at all. I lose a lot of money on this channel actually. It's a passion project. But it's really nice when people reach out and think of me and offer to send me stuff to try. But yeah, I never reach out and ask for anything personally. And this is actually one of the later runs of the Stealth. This just came out recently, and I'm not exactly sure how many runs there have been, but there have been a lot of different runs of the Stealth and a lot of different colorways. There's been some raw ones, there's been some different splashes, different acid washes, different colored rims, different colored bodies. Like the specs themselves as far as like the measurements of the yo-yo haven't changed, but like sometimes the material is like anodized differently or brushed differently or blasted differently, or the rims are colored differently, stuff like that. So pretty much if you want a Stealth in a different color or you want a Stealth in a different style, you can pretty much get it. And this seems like one of the biggest runs. There's quite a few new colors coming out. It is a little bit heavier than I remember, and that's not a bad thing. I have the original Stealth still. My original Stealth has been dropped a lot. It's quite damaged, it's quite vibey now, but it still plays pretty well. Throwing this one has kind of reminded me how much power this plays with. It feels a lot heavier than you might expect from the specs. And it's very solid feeling too. It's put together sort of in the style of older bimetals where the ring is just clamped on. It doesn't have like an inner ring, or it's not, you know, put onto the inner part of the body or anything like that. So it has this really solid feel to it, which is nice. And like I said, it does feel a little bit heavier than you expect, but despite that weight, it's actually very quick. I think it's somewhere around 65 grams, and it plays a little bit heavier than 65, but not in a bad way. It feels very nimble, and it's good at changing speed quickly. It's got the very solid, you know, 2016-17 bimetal feeling of just having a really solid spin time, really solid stability as well. So in that aspect, it really hasn't changed from the original Stealth, which had all these aspects as well. It was always really long spinning, it was always really stable as well. But when I first got it, I didn't really appreciate the 7075, and now I definitely understand why it's used more. I can feel it in the weight distribution, and I can actually feel it in the material as well. It does feel more durable, it does feel more solid, it does feel better in the hand. Like the hand feel of this, especially with the blast, is just exquisite. It grinds really well too. I mentioned this earlier because of the step up in here. I feel like you have a lot of space to grind, and the material grinds really well too. It's very, very smooth as well on the finger, so you don't have to worry about losing grinds because of vibe. One thing though that I thought that I would be better at now, I'm still not, is the finger spins. You'd have this bowl in here, which you'd think would be handy for finger spins, and I've seen people like Lorenzio Cubing or Brandon Vu finger spin on this very well, but I definitely cannot. You need to do that soft finger technique, which I've never really mastered, but I've seen people get finger spins on this that last a really long time, so the only ones I can get are the ones that go around like that. Maybe if you pull on the string a little bit, you might be able to kind of like get it to stabilize, but as far as I'm concerned, I can't get it to happen. One thing I should mention is the response is different in this. On the original Stealth, you had those yellow pads, and I was never really a huge fan of those. These have the clear pads, and these are much, much better. A lot of the newer high-end Magic Yo-Yos use these clear pads, and they are just fantastic. I'm also using the Zipline Baby Flamingo, the light pink string, which is wound. This one's wound specifically to be a little bit thicker, which is the string that I really like. So it works fantastically with the response on the Stealth here. No snags ever. It's just a very, very solid snappy binds. Now, one thing I should mention that I felt with the original run of the Stealth, and I still feel, is the catches are not always the most comfortable, which is kind of surprising because it's a rounded shape and it's very smooth and it feels nice, but the edge here is just a little bit rough. It's not sharp or anything, but it's not really smoothed off. It's a little bit squarish. And so on some hard binds, you definitely can feel a little bit of discomfort. And there's been a few times where I've caught some pretty savage binds and it's hurt a little bit. But I feel like once I get used to it, and once I kind of get used to it hitting my hand in that way, it's going to be a lot easier to catch. It's probably because I have bigger hands, and the way it lands, this rim goes right into my finger here. And so sometimes that can feel a little bit uncomfortable, but that's probably just my hand size and the shape of the yo-yo, so your mileage may vary. As far as pros, the price of this thing, I should have mentioned it before, the price of the Stealth is extremely low. It's usually like 45 to 60, I think, depending on where you get it, what kind of color you get, what splash you get, stuff like that. Solids are always cheaper. But even despite that, if it was, 60 bucks, this is a bimetal that plays better than a lot of other bimetals I've played, and for the price, you really can't beat it. It's smooth too. It's not the most smooth bimetal I've ever thrown, but for the price you're getting it, like, it's definitely way smoother than, some $100 plus yo-yos I've thrown that were bimetals. So it definitely has QC going for it. The colors are fantastic. I love the new run of colors. There's a color for just about everybody, so you should really check them out if you're interested and see which color is good for you, but I could not pass up the green. This green teal is just gorgeous. I like the style of the Stealth. I mentioned this in my original review. The engraving is really nice. I like how it's not too flashy or noisy or anything. At the same time as being sort of understated in the graphic department as far as like the logo and stuff, there's something really, really flashy and cool about the whole thing in general. I just love the way it looks. And the response, I'm so glad they upgraded the response, because those yellow pads, I'm not the biggest fan. These work way better, especially with a thicker string. So if that was something that was holding you back, if you're one of those people who doesn't like response on Magic Yo-Yo, this fixes the problem. And it has some really nice grinds. Like I mentioned, I love finger grinds, and this gets them done without any problem. As far as cons, like I said, I guess some people might consider this a con, but it doesn't really finger spin easily. When you look at it, you might think it does, but it's definitely going to take a lot of practice to get that. So I don't really think that's fully a con. That's more just a skill thing. I'm not very good. But one con I should mention is, like I said, the catches are not the most comfortable, and that could just be me because of the way my hands are shaped and the way that the rim just kind of slams into my finger here. But the more I play it, the more I'm feeling like it's hurting less and less. I think I'm just getting used to it. And it's not the most uncomfortable yo-yo. Like, I think probably the most uncomfortable catch I've ever had is like the Katana, which is another Magic yo-yo. And this is not nearly as bad as that at all. But just something to keep in mind. If you have bigger hands, then you'll have to get used to the way it catches. But as long as you're ready for it, as long as you've got your hand nice and open, you're not going to have too much of a problem. Like I said, I know I had taken a look at this before, but I thought it was worth taking another look just because it's been out for a while and my skill has increased quite a bit, I hope, since the original Stealth came out. And these colors are just really, really cool, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about. But yeah, I think it's a really solid bimetal. I think it's one of the better bimetals on the market. I'm glad that they're not totally trying to break your wallet by releasing a bimetal that plays this well. And like I said, I have some $100 plus bimetals that don't play this smooth, that, are vibey or fragile, or, came with these like came stripped and stuff like that. I think people give Chinese companies a lot of flack for their QC and stuff, but I've never had that problem. Like Yo-Yo Empire, Magic Yo-Yo, ACO, all these Chinese companies that are coming out with these fantastic yo-yos that are really, really well QC'd. You know, I just think it's really awesome, and I hope that they keep setting the bar for high QC and low price. All right, thank you so much for watching, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a like, a comment, and subscription. I'd really appreciate it. Take care, have a nice day, and sayonara.